What's up, nail crew? Let's talk about how you can dip with your non-dominant hand. So we all obviously have a dominant hand, the one that we are so much better at everything with, including doing our nails. And for me, I'm right-handed, so anytime I do my left hand, starting even from the beginning of when I started doing my nails 2.5 years ago, my left hand would always look decent, and my right hand, let me tell you, it took me about 9 months to a year for it to even look remotely decent that I would show anybody. So I thought it'd be a great tutorial to do to show everybody, like with some good tips and tricks on how I've gotten better at dipping with my non-dominant hand. So the very first thing I did was I started to build an apex with this, and that was the very first dip I did. You can see that's like a little strip about halfway down my nail, and I did that because I wasn't gonna wear peel base with this mani. I was just dipping right over my builder gel. I wore this mani for about a week and a half, and I wanted to have a nice apex just to make sure it had enough strength on top of my builder gel. Then my next two dips that I like to do of the color, that's when I go back to the back of my nail. And every time that I go to dip towards the back of my cuticle, I make sure that I push my cuticles back with my cuticle pusher. This just especially with when I'm using my left hand to apply the liquids and dip with. I really want to make sure that I can get as close to the cuticle as possible without flooding it. And using my left hand to do anything is still a struggle for me. You'll see later in the video that I also end up using my Efile a bunch to clean up my cuticle lines. And again, it is just harder for me still, even after 2.5, almost 3 years now, to dip using my left hand. So when I do my second dip, you'll see on my thumb there, I missed some spots on my nail on the second dip that was back toward the one that was back towards my cuticle, and that I make sure that my last color dip really gets back at the cuticle and covers the nail, because I tend to miss a bunch at the back when I'm using my left hand because I just cannot seem to apply the liquids quite as nicely. And now you'll see on my pointer finger that I got some liquid on my skin. So I immediately go with my pointy nail tool and clean that off before I even pour the powder over or lay my nail into the powder, because you don't want to dip with the liquids starting off on your finger. Now, then I also ended up going a little too aggressive, like I always do, with the nail tool. So I accidentally peeled off some of the dip as I was scraping around my cuticle. So I quickly just dabbed my nail back into the dip powder to get a little bit more on that spot where I had messed it up, since it wasn't quite dry yet. And whenever I'm doing my nails, whether it's my dominant hand or using my non-dominant hand, if I'm doing if I'm doing a solid or a shimmer powder first, I like to do them first, and then I use my clear to encapsulate them and then activate them before I start with my glitters. For me, especially when I'm doing my nails on my right hand with my non-dominant left hand, it is really important for me not to mess up any more than I already do, to mess up those solid or shimmer dips. So now I go into my glitter dip and I apply it the same as I would on my other hand, but I always make sure that I trace around my cuticle first before I dip, because I just tend to get the liquids a little bit messier, and then I trace around again with my pointy nail tool after I've dipped. And one other thing you'll see me do whenever I do glitters is I always like to shake the glitter dip up that I've poured into the cupcake liner. It just helps the dip apply more nicely and evenly with all the glitter on the top. So you always want to make sure that you are pushing back those cuticles for every dip that you do. Any dip that's going to be close to your cuticle, push those back with your metal cuticle pusher. And some people like to use a wooden one. Those just have never worked as well for me. I don't know. I'm not as skilled with the wooden ones. I don't know why. I think because my hands are so big, I just really need the metal ones. So whenever you're also doing glitter dips, you want to make sure before the glitter starts to dry, you press the glitter down and then kind of push it onto your shape. So since I have almond shaped nails, you can see me pressing the glitter like onto the sides of my nail to make sure that I don't have too many pieces hanging off the sides before the glitter dip starts to dry. Next, I'm going to encapsulate my glitter dips with clear, and I always do this no matter whether I'm using a glitter dip, a shimmer dip, a solid dip. Any kind of dip that I do, I like to encapsulate everything with clear. For me, it just helps when I'm filing. It makes sure that in case I aggressively file and shape and buff, that I don't mess up any of the color and especially not any of the glitter. And when I'm dipping onto my right hand, this is super important because I tend to be a little bit more aggressive when I'm filing or shaping or doing anything since I'm using my left non-dominant hand. So for the glitter, whenever I am encapsulating with clear, I like to press it down a little bit like you just saw me do. And when I press down the clear dip powder, just make sure that it gets into like all the little nooks and crannies, like how you like to call them, of the glitter. But sometimes if you're using a really chunky glitter, you want to press that clear down really well into your glitter. And then I go and I start filing. Since I've already activated my shimmer nails, I like to go and file and buff and shape those nails while the other glitter nails, while that activator dries. I like to do my shaping first with my non-dominant hand. This just helps me see where my nails are ending up because I tend to go a little off with the shape when I'm applying the dip powder more than when I'm applying the dip powder on my left hand. Then now I go in with this is like my favorite part of the mani. Outside of when I apply the top coat and I get to see how shiny it looks, I love using this bit. It's the Pana Extra Fine barrel bit. And I go around my cuticles, and this is how I achieve my beautiful, even, nice, clean cuticle lines on my right hand, even though my left hand does not apply the liquids as well. That is my not so secret trick to getting beautiful cuticle lines. And now I get to go through, do my top coating, which is my other favorite part of the process. The liquids that I'm using are from OG Dip Powder, and the liquids go on a little bit differently for top coating. You activate 5 nails, then you apply the first layer of top coat on those 5 nails in the same order that you activated. And then you'll check out your nails, see if you see crinkling. It usually takes maybe 10 to 20 seconds. And you'll go through and you'll apply your second layer of top coat. Now, one thing I like to do when I've dipped onto my right hand is, you just saw me like squeeze my fingertips together. That's to make sure that I don't have any dip stuck on the sides of my nails. And I tend to do that more when I'm top coating onto my right hand, since I'm not as good, again, like I've been saying this whole video, I'm just not as good dipping with my left hand onto my right hand. You always want to make sure too that when you're doing your top coat, you cap your edges, especially if you like to wear your manis more than a few days. And this one I knew I was going to wear at least a week. So I made sure with my second layer of top coat and a little bit on the first that I capped my edges really, really well. And now I'm getting to see how my nails are coming together, how nice and shiny they are. As soon as you've applied your top coat, you can quickly go around with a pointy nail tool and grab off any excess before that top coat dries. I hope this video has been helpful. Check out this next one for more tips and tricks on dipping your nails. Thanks for joining me today, nail crew.